Sometimes life doesn't collapse. Nothing dramatic happens. But you wake up already feeling tired inside. Not physically, something deeper. Your body moves, but your energy feels delayed. Your mind is busy, but not clear. You can't point to one mistake, one bad decision, one moment that explains it. And that's what makes this feeling so confusing. If you've been carrying that quiet weight lately, this moment is for you. Not to fix you, not to push you, just to sit with you for a moment, inside the heaviness. What makes this kind of heaviness so confusing is that it rarely arrives all at once. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with a single moment you can point to and say, that's when everything changed. Instead, it builds quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Life keeps moving forward, and you move with it. You wake up, you get ready, you go where you're expected to go, you do what needs to be done, you answer messages, you show up to work, you take care of responsibilities, you keep commitments, you meet expectations. From the outside, everything looks normal. Nothing seems broken. Nothing appears out of place. And that's what makes this feeling so isolating. Inside, something feels heavier than it should. Not overwhelming in a dramatic way, just heavier, persistent, always there. It's not the kind of tiredness that sleep fixes. You can rest for hours and still wake up feeling drained. And it's not sadness in the way people usually describe sadness. It's more like saturation, as if your inner world is full, but not organized, as if your mind is holding too many open tabs at once. You try to slow down, but rest doesn't feel restorative. You sit still, yet you don't feel settled. Your thoughts don't race, but they don't land either. Small decisions begin to feel heavier than they should. Things that once felt simple now require effort. You hesitate more. You second-guess yourself. You feel resistance where there used to be flow. And because there's no clear explanation, you begin to question yourself. You wonder if you're being weak, if you're overreacting, if you should just push through like everyone else seems to do. So you do. You push. You stay busy. You stay productive. You stay available. You tell yourself this is just life, that this is normal, that things will settle eventually. But the heaviness doesn't disappear. It follows you quietly from one moment to the next. It shows up in your body, in your energy, in your thoughts. And the longer it remains unnamed, the heavier it becomes. Often, the body understands what the mind has not yet admitted. Before you can explain what's wrong, your body already feels the weight. You may not think, I'm overwhelmed. You may not consciously recognize stress, but your body reacts anyway. Your shoulders tighten without warning. Your breath becomes shallower. Your energy drops in the middle of the day, even when nothing unusual has happened. This is because the body does not wait for explanations. It responds to load. When emotional weight accumulates over time, the body begins to speak in quiet ways, not through panic, not through dramatic signals, but through heaviness, through fatigue, through resistance. You might notice that rest no longer restores you. You lie down, but your body doesn't fully let go. You sleep, yet you wake up already feeling behind. Your nervous system stays alert longer than it should. Always ready, always braced. Not because something is wrong in the moment, but because something has been carried for too long. The body is designed to move between effort and recovery, between tension and release. But when recovery is postponed repeatedly, the body adapts by staying tense. This is not weakness, it is intelligence. Your body is trying to protect you from collapse by slowing you down before you reach it. The heaviness you feel is not random. It is information. It tells you that your system has been operating without enough pause, without enough release, without enough safety to fully rest. And the longer these signals are ignored, the louder the heaviness becomes. Not to punish you, not to sabotage you, but to get your attention. This awareness is not meant to alarm you. It is meant to guide you. Your body is not asking you to stop living. It is asking you to stop carrying everything alone. Listening does not mean fixing everything today. It does not mean making big decisions. It simply means recognizing that the weight you feel is real and that it deserves acknowledgement. Because when the body is finally heard, it often softens on its own. Here is something most people never hear clearly. Not all exhaustion comes from doing too much. Some exhaustion comes from holding too much. Holding expectations you didn't choose. Holding responsibilities that never fully leave your mind. Holding emotions that were never given space to be felt. You can carry this kind of weight for a long time without realizing how heavy it has become. Because you adapt. You normalize the pressure. You tell yourself this is just how life works now. That this is what being responsible looks like. That everyone feels this way. But adaptation does not mean absence of cost. Your inner world keeps track, even when your conscious mind tries to move on. This is why the heaviness often appears without a clear cause. Nothing new has happened. Nothing obvious has gone wrong. The weight was already there. It simply reached a point where it could no longer be ignored. This is not a personal failure. It is not a lack of gratitude. It is not weakness. It is the result of sustained effort without sufficient release. Human beings are not designed to carry indefinitely. We are built for cycles. Effort followed by rest. Engagement followed by recovery. When those cycles are interrupted for too long, the system compensates. It slows you down. It reduces your energy. It creates resistance. Not to stop you from living, but to prevent deeper harm. This is why pushing harder rarely helps. It adds more weight to a system that is already overloaded. And this is why clarity does not come through force. It comes through honesty. Honesty about limits, honesty about capacity, honesty about what you can and cannot carry alone. The heaviness you feel is not asking you to quit. It is asking you to rebalance, to acknowledge that strength without rest eventually becomes strain, and that listening now is far kinder than collapsing later. This reframe matters, because when you stop seeing the heaviness as a problem to fix and start seeing it as information to respect, your relationship with it changes. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are learning how to carry life in a way that does not quietly break you. Sometimes the weight you feel does not come from one big event. It comes from patterns. Patterns that develop quietly, patterns that feel normal, patterns that rarely get questioned, always being the reliable one, always being the one who holds things together, always being available when others need support. These roles often start with good intentions. You step in because you care. You help because you're capable. You carry more because you can. Over time, these patterns stop feeling like choices and start feeling like obligations. You don't consciously decide to carry everything. You simply don't put it down. You become the person others lean on, the one who doesn't complain, the one who keeps going. And because you do it well, no one thinks to ask if it's heavy. Another silent pattern is postponing yourself, putting your needs later, delaying rest, delaying honesty. You tell yourself you'll slow down soon, that things will ease up eventually, that this is just a busy season. But seasons don't always end on their own. The body keeps track of what the mind postpones. The cost accumulates quietly, and one day you realize the weight is no longer temporary. It has become part of how you move through life. This does not mean you made the wrong choices. It means you stayed strong for a long time. The heaviness is not here to judge you. It is here to show you a pattern that needs attention. Patterns can change, but only once they are seen, not through force, not through guilt, through awareness. When you recognize the pattern, you regain choice. You can decide what you continue carrying and what needs to be shared, paused, or set down. The weight begins to shift, not when everything changes, but when you stop pretending that nothing needs to. There was someone who described this feeling in a way that stayed with me. They said, "I didn't break, I just bent for too long." They were the kind of person others relied on, dependable, steady, always present when something needed to be handled. They didn't complain, they didn't ask for much, they just kept going. At first it felt natural. They were capable, they could manage more than most, so they did. They stepped in when others stepped back. They carried responsibility without hesitation. They became the person people trusted to hold things together. Over time, this role became familiar. comfortable even. It gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of being needed. But slowly something began to change. They were still doing everything right, but they felt less present in their own life. Moments passed without landing. Conversations felt distant. Even quiet time felt restless. They noticed that joy didn't disappear. It just felt muted, as if it couldn't fully reach them anymore. Nothing was obviously wrong. Their life looked stable, functional, put together, and that made the heaviness harder to explain. They told themselves they were fine, that they were just tired, that everyone feels this way sometimes. So they continued. They kept saying yes. They kept showing up. They kept holding things together. Until one day they realized something quietly unsettling. They were living responsibly but not fully. They were managing life, but not really experiencing it. That realization didn't come with panic. It came with sadness, a quiet grief for something unnamed. And that was the moment they understood. The weight they felt wasn't sudden. It had been forming slowly over time, through strength that never rested. The turning point didn't come from a breakdown. There was no dramatic moment, no collapse, no urgent decision that changed everything overnight. It came quietly. They stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and started asking a different question. What have I been carrying alone for too long? That question didn't solve anything immediately, but it changed the direction of their attention. They began to notice the weight instead of dismissing it. They stopped explaining it away. They stopped minimizing it. They didn't suddenly rest more. They didn't quit responsibilities. They didn't escape their life. They simply acknowledged the truth of their experience, and something subtle shifted. The weight didn't disappear, but it stopped growing, because it was no longer being denied. They realized that strength without rest had slowly turned into strain, and that being capable didn't mean being limitless. They allowed themselves to pause without justification, to say no without apology, to admit fatigue without shame. Not all at once, not perfectly, but enough to create space. And in that space, something softened. Not because life became easier, but because they were no longer carrying it silently. Sometimes relief doesn't begin when circumstances change. It begins when honesty is finally allowed to exist. That awareness didn't end the journey. It made the journey lighter. Not by removing the weight, but by sharing it. Before moving forward, it helps to let everything settle. Not to analyze it, not to fix it, not to turn it into another task. Just to notice. Notice what felt familiar. Notice what felt uncomfortable. Notice what brought relief simply by being named. You don't need to organize these thoughts. You don't need to reach conclusions. This moment is not about clarity, it's about integration. Sometimes understanding comes first and the body follows later. Other times, the body understands long before the mind is ready to explain. Both are valid. You may feel tempted to rush ahead, to ask, "So, what do I do now?" But not every moment requires action. Some moments ask for space. Space to let truth land gently. Space to feel without judgment. Space to stop carrying insight as another responsibility. Integration is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It happens when you allow what you've heard to exist without resistance. When you don't argue with it. When you don't immediately try to improve it. This pause is not avoidance. It's respect. Respect for the fact that something real has been acknowledged. And acknowledgement by itself already shifts weight. You don't need to hold on to every idea from this video. You don't need to remember every sentence. What matters is what stayed with you. That lingering feeling, that subtle recognition. Let that be enough for now. There will be time for action. There will be time for change. But this moment is simply about allowing what has already surfaced to settle where it belongs. Quietly, naturally, without force. There is something important to understand about this kind of heaviness. It does not mean you are doing life wrong, and it does not mean you have reached some limit you cannot recover from. Very often, it means you have been living with a quiet sense of responsibility that never fully turns off. Even in moments of rest, part of you stays alert, thinking ahead, managing outcomes, anticipating needs, preparing for what might go wrong. This constant internal vigilance slowly consumes energy, even when nothing stressful is happening in the moment. It's like holding your breath just slightly all the time. Not enough to notice immediately, but enough to create fatigue over weeks, months, or years. Many people confuse this state with laziness, lack of motivation, or loss of passion. But what's actually happening is depletion. Your system has been in holding mode for too long, holding things together, holding yourself together, holding space for others, holding expectations that were never clearly defined. And because you've been able to do it, you assumed you should continue. This is where the heaviness becomes misleading. It doesn't show up as a clear warning. It doesn't say, "Stop now." It simply makes everything feel heavier than it should. And when that happens, people often turn against themselves. They try to push harder. They demand clarity. They look for discipline or motivation to fix the feeling. But clarity does not emerge under pressure. It emerges under safety. The nervous system needs to feel that it is allowed to release, even briefly, before it can reorganize. This is why moments of gentleness matter more than moments of effort when you feel this way. Gentleness is not weakness, it is regulation. When you allow yourself small pockets of non-demand, your system begins to recalibrate. Not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually. You may notice moments where your breath drops lower, moments where your thoughts slow down, moments where the weight feels less absolute. These moments are not accidents. They are signs that your system is capable of recovery. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are responding naturally to prolonged load. And load does not require judgment. It requires adjustment. This is also why comparison becomes so damaging in this state. You look at others and assume they are carrying more with ease. You assume you are failing where they are succeeding, but you cannot see their internal load, and you are often underestimating your own. Heaviness distorts perception, it narrows your sense of capacity, and exaggerates your sense of responsibility. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels personal. Everything feels like it depends on you, but very little actually does. Recognizing this does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means recalibrating it, letting go of what is not truly yours, allowing yourself to be human inside the role you play. This reflection is not meant to give you answers. It is meant to create space. Space where the nervous system can soften. Space where clarity can begin to form naturally. And from that space, the next step becomes quieter, simpler, and more honest. Not forced, not rushed, just appropriate. Now, instead of trying to fix everything, let's keep this simple. This is not about changing your life. It's about changing how much you carry today. Here is one gentle practice you can try within the next 24 hours. Not to improve yourself, not to become more productive, just to create a little space. Set aside 10 quiet minutes. No phone, no background noise, no expectations. And ask yourself one honest question: what am I carrying right now that does not need to be solved today? Not removed, not avoided, just named. You may notice that several things come up at once. Responsibilities, conversations, worries about the future, unfinished emotions. You don't need to sort them. You don't need to make decisions. Simply notice which ones truly require action today and which ones can rest where they are without harm. Often, much of the weight we feel comes from treating everything as urgent. This practice gently separates urgency from importance. If it helps, you can write a few words down. Not a list, just names. There is relief in acknowledging weight without immediately lifting it. You are not ignoring reality, you are pacing yourself. Caring less for one day does not make you irresponsible, it makes you sustainable. And sustainability is what allows strength to remain kind instead of rigid. This is not about doing less forever. It's about recognizing that not everything belongs on your shoulders at the same time. Let this practice be quiet, private, unimpressive. No one needs to know you're doing it. The shift happens inside long before anything changes on the outside. If you're open to it, let's take a quiet moment together. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, nowhere you need to go. Just allow yourself to be here. Take a slow breath, let it move all the way in, and then gently let it out. If your body feels tense, you don't need to change it. Just notice it. If your mind feels busy, you don't need to quiet it. Just let the thoughts pass without following them. This moment is not about effort, it's about permission. Permission to pause. Permission to rest inside this breath. Permission to not carry everything right now. You can quietly say in your own words or mine, I don't need to carry everything tonight. I'm allowed to pause here. I don't need all the answers right now. There is no rush, no deadline inside this moment. If it feels right, you might imagine setting something down. Not forever, just for now. A responsibility, a worry, an expectation you've been holding tightly. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. Just allow yourself to not hold it for these few moments. If prayer is part of your life, you might gently say, help me carry only what is mine to carry. Help me rest where I can. Help me trust that I don't have to do this alone. And if prayer is not something you usually do, you can simply stay with the intention to be kinder to yourself tonight. There is strength in rest. There is wisdom in listening. There is care in allowing yourself to slow down. Let this moment be small, quiet, unforced, not a solution, not a breakthrough. Just a place to breathe before continuing forward. Take one more slow breath, and when you're ready, let yourself gently return. If this moment helped you feel a little less alone, you're welcome to stay with this channel. This is Lighthouse for the Journey, a place for quiet clarity, for honest reflection, for gentle strength when life feels heavy. You don't need to rush. You don't need to have everything figured out. If you'd like to continue this journey, you can subscribe and come back whenever you need. There will be more moments like this, more space to pause, more reminders that you don't have to carry everything by yourself. Take care of yourself tonight. And remember, moving forward doesn't always mean moving faster. Sometimes it simply means moving with more care.